With over 9.2 million horses in the United States currently, that contribute $39 billion to the United States economy annually, horses are still a major part of today's society. Hi, my name is Abby Strickland, and I chose to complete my senior internship on equine medicine. One of the opportunities I had while completing my internship was to watch an ultrasound of a mare because the owner wanted to know the gender of the foal. This is the ultrasound, and this foal is a colt. So it's a male foal, and it's 57 days along. You can see it moving, and so it's a healthy fetus, and it's a colt. When I heard about this project, I knew that it was going to have something to do with horses because I've been riding horses my whole life, and horses are my passion. This is a picture of me riding my horse Jazz, and I also compete in 4-H contests. This November, I was able to compete at nationals in Kentucky for knowledge contests. When I started my internship, I thought it was going to be rushing out to save horses who were sick or dying, and it turned out to be a lot of routine vaccinations and drawing blood for Coggins tests. So the Coggins test is a test for equine infectious anemia, which is a highly contagious disease that horses must either be euthanized or quarantined for the remainder of their life if they test positive for it. So all horses must have a negative Coggins test in order to cross state lines or travel anywhere in the state of Virginia. So while the vet drew blood, I copied down the horse's information onto paper, and this included drawing all of the horse's markings. So on a paint horse, you have to draw all the white spots on the horse's face, any scars or whorls, and all of the white spots on their legs. My mentor for my internship was Dr. Tom Newton. He has over 30 years of experience as a veterinarian, and in this picture, he is performing a fecal egg flotation. This is one of the procedures that I learned how to do, and what happens is you get the fecal sample from the horse, put it in a solution that makes the parasite eggs float to the top. Then you take the solution off the top and put it in 2 slides and place it under a microscope and count the number of parasite eggs, as well as identifying the species of parasites. Then you do 2 slides in order to test for accuracy. And one of them I did had no parasite eggs, and one of them had 57. So you never know how many you're going to find or what type of parasites you'll find in the sample. Another procedure that I got to help with was a pre-purchase exam. This is an exam done to test the horse's soundness and health before an owner purchases the horse, just to make sure the horse is healthy and in good condition before they actually pay the money for the horse. Here, Dr. Newton is using hoof testers in order to test the horse for lameness and find any specific areas of lameness. To use a hoof tester, you pinch the horse's foot, and if they jerk away, then you know it hurt them right there. So not only can it identify if there's any lameness in that particular foot, it can also tell you the specific area of the foot that it's in. As part of the pre-purchase exam, you have to do a flexion test. A flexion test means bending the horse's leg in order to flex it and put the maximum amount of stress on it. Then you hold the horse's leg for 30 seconds, release it, and the horse trots off. While the horse trots off, you look for any lameness or limping that would indicate there's a problem with that leg. And then you repeat the process with each leg. So here Dr. Newton is holding the horse's leg. Then 30 seconds, the horse trots off, and you can see that the right front is perfectly healthy. Another opportunity I had was taking radiographs of a horse. This horse was lame in his right front hoof, and we had to take radiographs in order to identify the exact cause of the problem. So I had to wear this lead apron and thick rubber gloves to protect me from the radiation of the portable x-ray machine. So I held the partition behind the horse's leg to reflect the x-ray back at the machine. And I was also able to see the actual x-rays. You can see in the picture on the left that there's a small crack in the front of the hoof. This indicates that there's an abscess. An abscess is when a small piece of gravel or something irritates the hoof, works its way up into the sensitive tissues, and forms a ball around it that hurts the horse's hoof. And this abscess has actually blown out, leaving the crack in the horse's hoof wall. And the crack is what happened after the abscess blew through the hoof wall and the hoof wall slid down. You can also see on the triangular shaped bone that's lowest, it's known as the coffin bone or the third phalanx. that is rotated downward, and this condition is known as laminitis. So this horse has several problems that are causing it pain. Also, in the picture on the right, you can see the white part, the horse's sole, and the white part is unhealthy sole. It's supposed to be hard, but the sole was squishy and white, indicating that it had been standing in unsanitary conditions and the bacteria had been eating away at the horse's hoof. And you can see the small brown part underneath where there is healthy sole, so we had to peel away all the white sole. And this horse was able to remain comfortable through corrective shoeing. For my community service, I volunteered at the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation in Montpelier. I worked with horses that had been rescued from the racetrack because after horses get too old or have injuries and are no longer able to race, they might be sold to the slaughterhouse. And the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation is an organization that rescues these horses and either holds them there for the rest of their lives so they're not sent to slaughter, or finds homes for them to be adopted. My mentor for this was Miss Jean Moon, and she's been volunteering there for over 7 years, and she's the head of the volunteer program. This is a picture of her with a horse named Taxi, who is one of the rescue horses there. While I was there, I groomed the horses and inspected them for any injuries, any signs of lameness, or any cuts on them, and just made sure they were healthy and taken care of. For my research paper, I chose to research a drug called furosemide. It's a drug that's used a lot in horse racing. Over 90% of thoroughbreds administer this drug, and over 70% of standardbreds. So this is by far the most widely used drug in horse racing. And that's why I chose to research it, because it's used so much. And it's used to treat a condition known as exercise-induced pulmonary hemorrhage. And this is a disease that occurs when there's bleeding from the lungs during intense exercise. So while the horse is exercising at its maximum capacity, the blood pressure in the horse's lungs gets even higher than the arterial blood pressure, which is already higher than the venous blood pressure. So this is extremely high blood pressure in the capillaries in the lungs, which causes them to burst. And this drug works by lowering the pulmonary blood pressure because it's a diuretic, which means more fluid is excreted from the horse's body, leaving less fluid to push out against the walls of the capillaries, so it lowers the blood pressure. And in my research paper, I covered whether it was a performance-enhancing drug and whether it was effective at preventing this condition. And I found that it was a performance-enhancing drug due to a study in standardbreds. They were able to pace a mile a second faster, which is huge in racing. And these horses had no prior history of exercise-induced pulmonary hemorrhage, which means that when they were administered the medicine, it gave them an advantage. And it also gives an advantage to horses that have the condition because there's less bleeding in the lungs, so they're able to exercise better. And I also found that it is effective due to a study in South Africa where the horses are not allowed any drugs to be administered on race day. So these horses had never been exposed to any drugs before. They were administered furosemide, and there's a scale for ranking the severity of it, and all the horses had reduced severity, if not a lack of occurrence of the condition. So I found that it is effective and it is a performance-enhancing drug. As part of my senior internship, I got to do a professional interview as part of researching the drug furosemide. This is a race at Colonial Downs of standardbreds in a qualifying race. And standardbreds, over 70% of them are administered the drug. So this is a race of standardbreds, and as you can see, the horses start out in the back behind the truck. The truck travels at 28 miles per hour, and once the truck reaches the end of the straightaway right there, the truck goes faster and the horses are able to pace at their own pace. And you can see the horses with the carts behind them because this is harness racing in standardbreds. I learned a lot through completing my internship. I learned that it's not necessarily what you know, but who you know. Because when I was trying to set up my professional interview with Dr. Harden at Colonial Downs, I sent him multiple phone calls, left messages, sent emails, and never received a response. So I talked to my internship mentor, Dr. Newton, and he knew this vet, so he called him and set up the interview for me. So I learned that personal connections can be very important. I also learned a lot about the economy and how horses are involved in it, and that the racing industry has been declining, because when I went to Colonial Downs, it was about to close, and everyone was talking about why it was closing, and it's because less people had been betting, and so that means less money for everyone in horse racing, and that's one of the reasons they've been taking away some of the drugs involved in horse racing. I plan to attend the College of William & Mary, and completing this internship actually helped solidify my plans, because I plan to major in Hispanic studies. And while I was completing this internship, several of the farmhands were Latinos, and I got to speak Spanish with them and learn new words that had to do with horses while I was completing my internship. So it was a great opportunity to learn more about Spanish, learn more about horses, and solidify my plans for the future. Thank you for coming out today to watch our senior presentations. Are there any questions?
I know you made Mr. Bowman very happy.